Hi there, and thank you so much for watching. Welcome to episode 3 of Change Your Life with Goals and Appreciation. So I received feedback last week that my audio was very low. So I'm like, all right, let me just yell, because I ain't got time to buy a mic or anything like that. I'm adding that to my list of things to do. But for now, I'll just have to speak really loud and slow. So thanks again for watching, and I will try to speak louder and a little bit more slowly. So this is new, this bulletin board behind me, and I'm hoping to make that into more of a visual vision board as opposed to my vision journal, which is on the desk right there. So that's a work in progress, as is my life at this point, as well as is sort of life in general. So I am here to share with you my results for this previous week. And let me just say, I'm excited to see what the next 9 weeks will hold, the next 10 weeks will hold. So let me get right into it. So, quick reminder, I'm using the 12-week year to help move my life forward with these goals and appreciations that I'm saying and declaring out loud. The 12-week year is a method of quarterly planning as opposed to annualized planning, and it really encourages you to distill your goals down into manageable chunks. So that's really all the 12-week year is, and there's nothing special about this approach. It just happens to be the vehicle that I'm using right now to get me closer to where I want to be. So I focused on 3 goals, and I have 3 to 5 tactics that I'm using to achieve those goals, and I will run through those goals for you now. So these 3 goals or areas that I'm working on are to cultivate more love and appreciation in my life, to cultivate and welcome more financial abundance, and to start building a business that will serve me and the people that I love. So those are my 3 areas. And I will review them for you actually starting backwards, because I had something really cool and interesting and exciting happen this week. So stay tuned for that at the end. So number 1 was, number 3, working backwards. Actually, no, let me just start with business. So in the area of business, I just ran through and I scored myself on the tactics that I'm using and how often I use them, how consistently I use them this week. And in the area of business, and I'm looking down at my notebook, that I use that spreadsheet to tally. So in the area of business, I got a 74%, which is okay. That's like a C, like a C plus, which means that I didn't do that great. I passed, but not well. So, and the area that I can do better in, I'm looking to see if I can find the tactics that I used for you so I can read them out, so you can have an idea of exactly what I'm doing to move myself closer to this business that will support me and the people I love. And some of the things were to capture business ideas throughout the day, or ideas to optimize what's already in place, to connect with other business leaders or business executors in the area. And that's something that I actually did. So where I could do better is in the daily. I have business affirmations as well that I declare, and I didn't do that every day. So shame on me. But what I did do that was exciting was, and it just came to me kind of naturally, I'm part of a Bible study group, and that met this Thursday, and we were just kind of chatting with each other, and then randomly a friend mentioned that he was really trying to get his internet business off the ground, and I'm like, really? Like, because he kind of mentioned it before, but this is the first time he was really sort of specific about it, and I'm like, what kind of business? What are you doing? So it had started off this discussion on he wants to do e-commerce, and I'm like, wow, I do that. Well, let's compare notes. So I kind of got to hear a little bit about his thought process and what his challenges are, and while I think he's not actually done anything yet, it's just in the idea phase right now, I think it might be cool, and I'm trying to really work on that, like having a set mastermind group. That's something that I wanted to look for and look to connect in with, and it takes some time to do. I had a group last year that I met with from the Ramit Sethi course, and we were actually doing really well. But then again, people went off in different directions and grew in different areas, so that kind of disbanded naturally. But so I'm looking to start that up again, and it might be cool to do it with people that I already know. Then again, it might be tricky because I don't want to sort of presume on that friendship that's already there. So kind of a work in progress, but it was neat to have that discussion with him and to hear kind of what he's struggling with as well. And it just made me feel a little bit not so alone, which was a great feeling. So that was in the area of business. The second area is in the area of finance. And in that area, I earned a score of 70. So I went from 74 in business to 70 in finance, not so great. Again, C, passing, but barely. And again, it was in the daily declaring affirmations and in being able to move money into long-term savings, which I didn't do. And the reason why I didn't do that, it didn't have to be a large sum. The sum that I ended up moving was untenable, but I could have moved a smaller sum, and I just didn't. So I will bear that in mind for this week. But what I'm really good in is in money, keeping track daily. Like, I am the person there with their little notebook that like steps aside in the grocery store line and like writes down how much they spend, because by the time I get home, I'm doing 80 different things and I don't have time to actually sit down that day. But I also take those numbers and then plug them into my budget girl spreadsheet for the week so that I can see exactly how much I spent, and then I take that into account with my weekly budget meeting. So that's been enormously helpful in the past year, these past 4 months. So that's my new budgeting process. So in the daily, I do well. The only thing I could do better in that area is to declare my financial affirmations morning and night, which I have. It's just being very rigorous with myself, being very disciplined and saying them out loud. My affirmation is, I appreciate what I have and I welcome more. And that's it. Just, I appreciate what I have and I welcome more. And I think it's the welcoming in more that's been, I don't want to say challenging, but yeah, challenging. I think even subconsciously saying I welcome more is kind of a little bit like daunting. You're like, really? Like, I welcome more? Yes, I do. I absolutely welcome more. So that's where I am in the area of finances. Again, a score of 70. Could do better. So this last area, in the area of love and appreciation, is the area that had something really cool happen. So here it is. Here's my really cool story about what happened in the area of love and appreciation. So this is actually also the area in which I got the lowest score, because something I had wanted to do was record every day my 5 appreciations. And I kind of rolled my eyes at doing that because everyone talks about gratitude and saying thank you and being grateful. And I'm like, yes, I know it's a powerful practice, but after a while, it just gets kind of samey. You're like, I'm thankful for this house. I'm thankful for the food in the fridge. And it's like, come on, like I take these things so for granted that I have food in the fridge or that I have a roof over my head. Like, that's a huge gratitude that not everyone has. So I think it's really, again, being disciplined in the daily, because I only did that maybe one day out of the 7. So that's why the score was so low. But something else that I'm doing that I didn't put in my lead indicators that I want to is sending a weekly appreciation or like doing something weekly to appreciate someone. And I kind of came up with this on the fly. I just had these 2 cards. I went to the dollar store and I got 2 cards, 2 for $1, and I just sent them out to friends in my life that I hadn't been able to connect with in person because we're all so busy, going back and forth. I hadn't been able to sit down and like connect with them face to face, but I wanted them to know that I was thinking about them and appreciating them, so I did. I sent those 2 cards, which it takes about, for me, like half an hour. I sit down and I write out a draft, and then I actually write out the card for real. Like I'll like type out a draft and then fix it, whatever, and then copy that in because that's just the way I work. And then I got the stamp. Like, we happen to have stamps, and I put the stamp on the card and I mailed it off. Okay, cool. I did that maybe Monday. So Saturday, this was last Saturday, I went out for dinner with a bunch of friends, different group of friends. Or I went to a friend's house for dinner. He was having like a big, like a communal, we did like a hot pot kind of thing. And it was fun, and we were talking, and I asked him, because he had these 3 giant grills, for like indoor, like for doing like a shabu shabu, like a Japanese kind of like hot pot dish. And I was like, wow, like that's pretty cool, but how did you come by 3 giant indoor grills? He's like, well, I bought them. And I'm like, okay. So this is the thing about my friend group, and this is like the amazing part that I so appreciate about them, is that they're all higher earners than I am. Like, they all earn more than I do. They are remarkable people who are at the top of their game. And I love hanging out with them because I feel like it motivates me or inspires me to be better at what I do. I'm like, oh. And I'll like pick up little things. Like, my one friend, she's very like on it, and she'll send out like a Google invite for like our friend gatherings, and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. So like we were talking about things that we wanted to do in the future, and somebody threw out an idea. We're going to go walk the High Line in New York City, and I was like, oh, I'll volunteer to head that activity. So she's like, okay. So I did that, and I got home and I sent out a Google invite, just like my one friend does. So that's kind of the great part about hanging out with people who are at a higher level than you, and I love doing that. So we were just chatting about these grills, and I was like, well, I would just never occur to me to like purchase these grills and like have them in my home for just such an occasion. But I'm like, I'm glad that you did, because this is great. So we were chatting about kind of cooking influence, and I just mentioned like, oh, like I'd really like, there are a couple things that I'm looking at pulling the trigger on, and one of them is an Instapot, because I don't know if you know about the Instapot, but it's like this big craze. It has been for a couple of years, but they're expensive. They're like $100, and I'm like, I think I could use it, but I can't really justify the price. Like, for now, like my old crock pot is fine. It's like the handle's broken, and I have to like use a like winch to get it off. Like I have like a little like plastic spoon to like shove under the lid to get it off, because like that is not a budget priority right now. Like upgrading my crock pot right now, not a budget priority. So I just kind of mentioned that. We were laughing, whatever. So I go about my week. And Friday morning, I'm like getting ready to leave the house, and I see there's a big giant like box in front of the garage, and I'm like, what is this? So I'm like, all right, so I drag it inside, and I open it, and it's an Instapot. I'm like, wait, what? Because I had been expecting some other things, like I ordered a printer ink, and I'm like, oh my god, that's kind of big for a printer ink. And I'm like, an Instapot? Like, really? So like I was going and doing whatever. I'm like, who the heck? Why? What? And then, so I get back, and I like lift the thing up, like after, my day has gone on, and I see that it was sent by my one friend who does a Google invite. She's like, hey girl, heard you talking about this. Hope you enjoy it. You'll love it. You can do so many things. Can't wait to hear, like, you like it. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, those things are super expensive. Like, what do you mean? So that was like, for me, that was such a powerful example of receiving appreciation that I was like, I couldn't even like think about, like I couldn't even like process. This was yesterday, and that someone would like just give it to me like out of the blue. Like she's like one of my best friends. She's incredible, and we've been with each other through like thick and thin, like our whole group. Like I was a bridesmaid in her wedding. She's just awesome. So the fact that like she listened, like she just happened to pick up what I was saying, that she actually like did that for me, was just incredible. And I want to receive that appreciation with humility and gratitude, and give that appreciation out. So I take that as a huge, powerful sign that this process of appreciation is working. And on that note, I can't wait to see what the next 11 weeks holds with this whole process, because I hope one day to be in a position to do something like that for someone else. And I can't wait to see what happens. So I am really hoping that I'm looking forward to this process continuing. And I thank you so much for watching and for coming on the journey with me. I can't wait again to see what happens on the rest of the way. So as far as what I'm planning for next week, my homework for next week, I want to be better in the area of daily affirmations and moving that money into long-term savings. In the area of appreciation, I just want to continue to appreciate people and to receive the same with grace. So thank you again so much for watching. I hope you'll keep watching, and I will see you next week.